The lawyer's office felt colder than usual that morning. Maybe it was the air conditioning, or maybe it was the icy stares from my family as we gathered for Grandpa Henry's will reading. I sat in the corner wearing the only formal dress I owned, while my sister Olivia lounged in her designer suit, scrolling through her phone with practiced indifference. "And to my granddaughter Olivia," Mr. Patterson read, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses, "I leave the family mansion on Sterling Drive, along with its contents and the sum of $2 million. Olivia's perfectly manicured hand flew to her chest in theatrical surprise, though we all knew she'd been counting on this. My parents beamed with pride, as if her inheritance was somehow a personal achievement. "And to my granddaughter Sarah," the lawyer continued, and suddenly all eyes turned to me. I straightened in my chair, trying to ignore the pitying looks. "I leave storage unit number 247 at Riverside Storage Facility, along with its contents." The room erupted in poorly concealed laughter. My father didn't even try to hide his smirk. "Well, that's fitting," he said, exchanging knowing looks with my mother. "Sarah always did have a knack for collecting worthless things." I felt my cheeks burn but kept my expression neutral. For the past 10 years, I'd worked as an antique appraiser while my sister climbed the corporate ladder. In my family's eyes, this made me the failure, the disappointment, the one who couldn't live up to her potential. "This is a joke, right?" Olivia laughed, finally looking up from her phone. "I mean a storage unit? Grandpa must have been going senile at the end." "The will is quite clear," Mr. Patterson stated firmly. "Unit number 247 and all its contents belong to Sarah." My mother touched my arm with false sympathy. "Darling, if you need help clearing it out, we can hire someone. It's probably just full of Grandpa's old junk anyway." I pulled away from her touch. "I'll manage." The rest of the meeting passed in a blur of asset distributions and legal jargon. My sister received more money, my parents got the vacation house in Florida, and various other relatives were given shares in Grandpa's investments. I sat quietly, clutching the key to unit number 247, wondering what my grandfather had been thinking. That night I couldn't sleep. Grandpa Henry had been different from the rest of my family. While they chased status and money, he taught me to look deeper, to see value in things others overlooked. "Not all treasure shines, Sarah," he used to say, watching me examine his collection of vintage watches. "Sometimes the most valuable things are the ones people dismiss." At 3 a.m. I finally gave up on sleep. Something about that storage unit nagged at me. Grandpa wasn't the type to play cruel jokes, even from beyond the grave. There had to be more to this. I threw on jeans and a sweater, grabbed my flashlight and drove to Riverside Storage Facility. The place was deserted, rows of identical metal doors stretching into the darkness. Unit number 247 was at the very back, away from the security cameras and lighting. The key felt heavy in my hand as I approached the door. My father's mocking laughter echoed in my head, a fitting inheritance for our little junk collector. The lock clicked open. I lifted the door slowly, wincing at its rusty groan. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing what looked like a museum in miniature. Glass display cases lined the walls, their contents hidden under dusty sheets. Wooden crates were stacked neatly, each marked with mysterious numbers and symbols. But what caught my eye was an envelope propped against an old desk, my name written in Grandpa's distinctive handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it. "My dearest Sarah, if you're reading this, you've already endured the will reading and probably quite a few cruel comments. I'm sorry for that, but it was necessary. You see, you're the only one who understands what I've spent my life collecting. The only one who sees value beyond price tags and status symbols. What's in this unit is worth more than the mansion and all my other assets combined. But it needs someone with your knowledge to unlock its true potential. Someone who won't just sell everything to the highest bidder. Look in the red leather journal on the desk. That's where the real treasure begins. All my love, Grandpa Henry." I found the journal exactly where he said it would be. Inside were detailed notes about every item in the unit, along with something that made my heart stop: authentication papers for some of the rarest artifacts in the world. As I read through the journal, my hands shaking, I realized that this dusty storage unit wasn't just full of old junk. It contained Grandpa's secret collection. Pieces he'd spent decades quietly acquiring while everyone thought he was just a wealthy retiree with too much time on his hands. And now it was all mine. I looked around the unit with new eyes, understanding dawning. That sheet-covered case probably held the Faberge egg Grandpa's journal mentioned, the one everyone thought was lost during World War II. Those wooden crates likely contained the missing Renaissance paintings he'd tracked down through mysterious European contacts. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. Hope you're enjoying your inheritance. Face with tears of joy. Don't forget to wear gloves when sorting through all that trash. I smiled, closing the journal. Let them laugh. Let them think I'd been cheated. Because while they were celebrating their millions, they had no idea that I was standing in the middle of a collection worth more than $40 million. But money wasn't what made me cry as I stood there in the darkness. It was knowing that Grandpa had seen me, really seen me, all along. He'd given me this inheritance not because I was the family failure, but because I was the only one he trusted to understand its true value. I locked the unit and drove home as dawn broke over the city. Tomorrow I would begin cataloging my inheritance properly. But for now I had one small piece of satisfaction. Knowing that sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong immediately, it's letting them keep believing they're right until the perfect moment to reveal the truth. The next morning I returned to the storage unit early, armed with archival gloves, a laptop and proper lighting equipment. Each item I uncovered left me more breathless than the last. The Faberge egg alone was worth $12 million, one of only 7 remaining in private collections. The Renaissance paintings, 3 in total, were valued at $8 million each. But it was the small wooden box tucked behind the desk that truly changed everything. Inside I found dozens of sealed envelopes, each addressed to different auction houses and museums worldwide. More of Grandpa's distinctive handwriting. To be delivered only after my granddaughter Sarah has reviewed the collection. My hands trembled as I opened the first envelope. Inside was a detailed provenance for every piece in the collection, along with proof of authenticity that would make even the most skeptical curator weep with joy. Grandpa hadn't just collected these pieces. He'd meticulously documented their history, importance and value. My phone buzzed again. Olivia. Mom and Dad want to know if you need help cleaning out your inheritance. We can send some workers over. Face blowing a kiss. I texted back, no thanks. Taking my time with it. Let them think I was wallowing in worthless junk. The truth would be so much sweeter when it finally came out. Over the next few weeks I worked in secret, cataloging every piece. During family dinners I endured their constant jabs. Found anything valuable yet? My father would ask, barely containing his smirk. Just old memories, I'd reply, watching him exchange knowing looks with my mother. Olivia was worse. She'd already moved into the mansion, throwing lavish parties to show off her new status. She even invited me to one, to give you a break from all that dust. I declined, claiming I was busy with work. In reality, I was meeting with museum curators and auction house representatives, all of whom nearly fainted when they saw the collection's documentation. This is unprecedented, the curator from the Metropolitan Museum of Art whispered, handling the Faberge egg with trembling hands. We thought this piece was lost forever. How did your grandfather? I smiled, remembering all those weekend trips with Grandpa that my family had mocked. He had a gift for finding hidden treasures. The first auction was scheduled quietly, featuring just one piece, a previously unknown Van Gogh sketch. The art world buzzed with excitement. My family, absorbed in their own supposed success, noticed nothing. Then came the morning of the auction. I sat in the back wearing sunglasses and a hat, watching as the bidding started at $2 million. Within minutes it passed $5 million. When the gavel finally fell at $8.7 million I slipped out quietly, smiling. That evening, my parents hosted a family dinner to celebrate Olivia's latest promotion. I arrived last, taking my usual seat at the far end of the table. Sarah darling, my mother said with false sweetness, we heard about that amazing Van Gogh discovery on the news. Sold for almost $9 million. Imagine having something like that. Must be nice, Olivia added, sipping her champagne. Instead of sorting through old junk in a storage unit. I took a slow sip of water. Actually, I've been meaning to talk to you all about that storage unit. Finally ready to admit Grandpa played a cruel joke? My father laughed. Not exactly. I pulled out my phone, bringing up the auction results. You see that Van Gogh that sold today? It came from my worthless inheritance. The silence was deafening. Olivia's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. That's not possible, my mother stammered. Oh, but it is. I smiled, scrolling through photos on my phone. Just like the Faberge egg going up for auction next week. Starting bid, $12 million. And the 3 Renaissance paintings the Louvre is interested in acquiring. They're offering $24 million for the set. My father's face had gone pale. You're lying. Henry would never. Grandpa spent decades building this collection in secret, I said, enjoying every moment. He gave it to me because he knew I'd understand its true value. While you were all laughing at the worthless storage unit, you never bothered to look inside. Olivia stood up so quickly she knocked over her champagne. This isn't fair. I got the mansion. I was supposed to get the valuable things. The mansion's worth what, $5 million? I asked innocently. My worthless inheritance is currently valued at over $40 million. And that's just what we've authenticated so far. You have to share it, my father demanded, his voice shaking. We're family. Family. I laughed. Like when you shared your vacation home. Or when Olivia shared her inheritance. Or how about all those times you shared your support and respect? That's different, my mother protested weakly. You're right, it is different. I stood up, gathering my things. Because I'm not just here to tell you about my inheritance. I'm here to make an announcement. I've established a foundation in Grandpa's name. Most of the proceeds from the collection will fund scholarships for art history students and restore historical artifacts to their rightful owners. You can't do this. Olivia shrieked. I already have. After all, it's my inheritance to do with as I please. I headed for the door, then turned back one last time. Oh, and Olivia, you might want to reconsider those renovations you're planning for the mansion. I happened to find some interesting documents in the storage unit. The house has historical protection status. Any unauthorized changes could result in serious fines. I left them sitting there, their perfect family dinner ruined. Outside, I looked up at the stars, thinking of Grandpa. He taught me that true value isn't always obvious, that sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones others overlook. The next morning the calls started. First my parents, then Olivia, then various relatives, all suddenly interested in reconnecting and healing the family divide. I let them all go to voicemail. Instead, I drove to the storage unit one last time. Most of the collection had been moved to secure locations, but I kept one small item for myself. A vintage pocket watch Grandpa used to let me play with as a child. It wasn't particularly valuable, but it held something worth more than any Faberge egg or Renaissance painting. Memories of the one person who had truly believed in me. 3 months later, I stood on stage at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, announcing the Henry Davidson Foundation's first restoration project. Cameras flashed as I revealed plans to return several pieces to their original countries and fund education programs worldwide. My family wasn't there. They'd all received invitations, special ones with detailed descriptions of every piece they'd dismissed as worthless. None of them showed up. But I didn't care. Because standing there, I realized Grandpa had given me something far more valuable than a $40 million collection. He'd given me the chance to prove that sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in proving people wrong. It's in proving yourself right.